Welcome to the Undercurrent, your source for grassroots news. I'm Lauren Windsor, and this is the second half of a two-part special on the NDAA. On February 6th, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals heard oral arguments in the case of Hedges v. Obama. Later that afternoon, several of the plaintiffs, including Chris Hedges, Daniel Ellsberg, Tangerine Bolin, and others, held two panel discussions at the Culture Project in New York City. Legendary filmmaker Michael Moore joined them in the second panel. Here are some of the highlights.
Before we do that, I wanted to re-ask my question from the last panel about this drones memo. What's the end game with this, with the lawsuit here? If you win the lawsuit and the administration retains the power to assassinate American citizens, how is that a Pyrrhic victory?
The memo is fascinating to read. It looks like it's written.
Well, they won't release the memos yet.
Yes, the white paper.
The pre-memo white paper.
Right, the pre-memo white paper. Is because it's so amateurish. It looks like it's written by a first-year law student. Whatever you think of John Yoo, and I hope he burns in hell. He actually had a much more sophisticated legal argument to torture human beings. Look, the drone wars. It's not an example of, and I think this is true with the NDAA. I think it's true with the FISA Amendment Act. We go all the way back. What they're attempting to do is legally justify what they're already doing. They have argued that under the 2001 Authorization to Use Military Force Act, they have a right to assassinate American citizens. I have read that act innumerable times, and Bruce and Carl did, and none of us find that in the act. That is, to be generous, a radical interpretation of the AUMF. And so what they're seeking to do is legally justify, in the same way that you was attempting to legally justify torture, they're essentially looking for kind of legal cover. And so I think it's all connected. It's all a part of this very rapid descent into a frightening form of corporate totalitarianism. And that is just writ large across the landscape. And as we go down, and they know we're going down, look, I mean, these forces are cannibalistic. 40% of the summer Arctic sea ice melts, and here we are literally watching the death throes of the planet, and these corporations like Shell look at it as a business opportunity. They know only one word, and that's more. They have commodified everything. Human beings are commodities, disposable commodities. The ecosystem is a disposable commodity, and they will put, now with no impediments, they will push and push and push, and they're not going to stop themselves. The formal mechanisms of power are not going to stop them. It's up to us. And literally, I have a 5-year-old, and his favorite book is Out of the Blue. He'll sit on the floor and look at narwhals and porpoises, and every time I see him do it, it rips my heart out. Because I know that if there is not a radical change in our relationship to each other and to the planet, every single one of those sea creatures will be dead within his lifetime. In theological terms, as a seminary graduate, these are forces of death. Look, we have not far from here, a few blocks from here, a joint command center with the NYPD and Goldman Sachs. I was arrested in front of Goldman Sachs with the Occupy movement. And let me tell you that when the security came out, it was a mixed security of Goldman Sachs security and NYPD security. These corporations have created 70% of we have 16 intelligence agencies, and as Jeremy Scahill has pointed out, 70% of their work are outsourced to corporations. We have handed the capacity for the security and surveillance state to private corporations. We have created mercenary armies. And if you look at the collapse of empires throughout history, as Thucydides said, Athens became a tyrant abroad and then became a tyrant at home. Empires hollow out themselves out from the inside. They, by the way, destroy their cities first, which is what we are doing, or largely have done.
I talk about this all night in terms of what my own personal experience has been, what I have learned since in terms of within the Bush administration and and what they did or were doing, or how they tried to deal with Fahrenheit 9/11, all the way from official government things to just the sort of propaganda that they put out on me in order to, I think, stir the pot of the unhinged. So I was very happy to hear about this lawsuit that these guys initiated. And Chris, of course, I've been a huge fan of his for a long time. He's our 21st century Noam Chomsky. Not that Noam isn't still in the 21st century. And of course, an honor to sit here with Daniel Ellsberg, who I was thinking about the other day, Daniel. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary Hearts and Minds about the Vietnam War. It's a great documentary, if you have a chance to see it. And they won the Oscar for Best Documentary that year. And when they went up on the stage to collect it, they read from a telegram from the North Vietnamese thanking Americans to, which of course, as in these days, you would never even think of such a thing. It would be like, in the way that things are conflated now, that you would be reading something from Al-Qaeda or whatever. But in this movie, Daniel appears in this movie and provides some very important lessons about Vietnam. Not only just what he went through personally, but what this country was led through in terms of the lies that were told, and by not having a press that was active at first to expose the lies, we lost a lot of lives, and we participated in the slaughter of anywhere from 2 to 3 million Southeast Asians. But he said something, and I was thinking about this because I was watching the news on Egypt today, and talking about whether the United States, we were for Mubarak, then we were against Mubarak. Somebody asked, which side is right? Are we on the right side? And the same question was asked during Vietnam. Were we on the right side or not? Because this was a people's uprising in South Vietnam. And Daniel said, the question is not whether we're on the right side. The only question or point is that we are the wrong side. That's it. We are behind a lot of this madness. Our corporations are benefiting from it greatly, and people who live in the Flint, Michigans of this world are suffering considerably. So I'm proud to be part of this and be supportive of it. And I've been very supportive of Bradley Manning from the beginning, helping to fund the fight. And I put up some of Julian Assange's bail money.
I had the opportunity to interview Moore briefly, and by briefly I mean for one question, after their talk. Note the amazing lighting I had backstage. Beating back NDAA will begin with the battle for overturning Citizens United and once and for all calling for an amendment to the Constitution that would state that corporations do not have the same rights as people?
Right. There are, when you have cancer, and it spreads, you don't go to where it's spread to first. You go to the source. You try to cut out the source. And the source in this country, in terms of power, is money. And the people that control the money, the upper 1% that call the shots here. And if they are allowed to continue to buy these politicians and control what happens there, we're never going to get anything done for the people. So one of the very first things that we all need to be working on, it's connected to this issue, it's connected to so many other issues, is to get money out of politics.
So would you advocate that as a movement, that activists come together and do that first before anything else?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we need a constitutional amendment now that says corporations are not people, and there are limits on what they can contribute to political candidates.
Bottom line, Hedges and Moore agree that America is a declining corporate state, wherein progress on the most pressing issues of our day is dictated by profits over people. If, as Moore says, campaign finance is the cancer at the root of all of our ills, we must unite to cure it and not its symptoms. I'm Lauren Windsor. Thanks for watching. Get pulled in to the Undercurrent.
With the truth put over my eyes, with the evil forces that compromise my state of mind. Have I been hypnotized to believe in lies with the monologue, questioning God like Habakkuk, cause the odds keep stacking up? Where is the illumination for the human nation?